Hello everyone, welcome back to the Lore Raider. Okay, when I said last video we'd be returning to Metroid, I did not expect it to be this kind of video at the time. Let's not waste any time here. Let's talk about Metroid Dread, otherwise known as Metroid 5, and break down everything we know about the game's development and what E3 can tell us to expect from the game itself. Metroid Dread has actually been a rumored Metroid game for decades before its release. And according to Sakamoto, the man in charge of the Metroid franchise, Dread has never seen the light of day because the technology at the time simply wasn't strong enough to allow them to complete their vision for the game. And the game has been stuck in development hell for nearly 2 decades before finally, the company Mercury Steam, the same company who helped with the creation of 2017's Metroid Samus Returns, arrived on the scene. Sakamoto will go on to say that Mercury Steam has a very great understanding of how the Metroid franchise operates and how to create a good Metroid game. Thus leading us into modern day, where we have Metroid Dread, again created with the help of Mercury Steam, in a near completed state, with a release date slated for October 8th of this year. According to Sakamoto and the other sources, the gameplay has been further refined from Metroid Samus Return as far as gameplay, while clearly also refining the themes of Metroid Fusion, creating the ultimate feeling of dread, which is obviously a nod to Fusion, which has long been hailed as perhaps the best series in the game in terms of atmosphere, as it really leans into those horror vibes. In terms of gameplay loop, Metroid Dread spices up the usual Metroid formula by adding a few new abilities to Samus' arsenal, including the active camouflage ability, which we see to great effect in the trailers, when Samus uses it to hide from the mysterious Emmy enemies. We also see the Omega Beam, a new weapon that seems to be able to destroy these indestructible Emmy, but requires a charge time, and we also see her new ability to now slide under small spaces, tremendously increasing her mobility from previous games. We also see a return of the Spider Ball from Metroid 2, though in this case it's called the Spider Magnet, which, like the Spider Ball, allows players to climb certain walls, much like the Spider Ball did, though with a lot less versatility. Finally, the last thing we notice in Metroid Dread's gameplay is how the game will be structured. Now, most Metroid games require Samus to work her way through a giant maze, collecting items and working her way down to defeat the bosses. However, during Metroid's gameplay showcase, one of the panelists confirmed that the game will feature Samus fighting her way to the surface, which is a scenario we haven't seen in a Metroid game before, and she'll be starting from the bottom. But now, let's move on to talk about the potential lore, enemies, and world building we can expect from Metroid Dread. There are a lot of little details to be picked apart in the footage we got during the entire E3 event. Let's start with Samus Aran herself. Now she's got a new red, white, and light blue colored suit, You're Welcome America, which I'll be just calling the Dread suit for now. Now for anyone who's played Metroid Fusion, you know that Samus' iconic old suit was destroyed when the Federation had to save her life when she was infected by the X-Parasite, which gave us the iconic Fusion suit. And on top of that, by the end of the game, we obtained the unnamed suit, which we got when we fused with the SAX at the end of the game. Now you will notice that the unnamed suit may have had the old color scheme, but it was still very patchwork and didn't give her a lot of defense. Now taking a look at the Dread suit, we can see that there was some sort of wiring between the plate, a lot more than any other suit. And this suit doesn't seem to have as much, plating as the classic suits that Samus used to wear, which is why we can see all this wiring everywhere. It is in my opinion that the Dread suit was made by Samus herself as an attempt to remedy her low defenses, and the color change symbolizes her removing herself from the old Samus Aran, now that she's now a criminal in the eyes of the Federation. Alternatively, I can see that the suit could be perhaps an old backup suit that she had on hand, maybe a proto suit, but I just can't be too sure right now. Some other details I want to point out was that in the trailer we noticed a mysterious individual that looked like a Chozo. It is a very blink it and you miss it moment, but if this is a living Chozo, it raises all manner of questions like, why is it here? What does it want from Samus? And where's the rest of its kind? It has always been a bit of a mystery to if this Chozo went extinct or not at the end of the prequel comic of Metroid. But now, seeing a Metroid in the video games, it confirms so many things, and it could mean that there are way more Chozo out there in the galaxy than we originally believed. Now, the Chozo aren't the only big thing that we can see from this trailer. Let's talk about the planet itself. Now, when I watched the trailer and saw that this was some sort of ice world, my mind immediately went to the moon of Phrygia, the homeworld of the Phrygian species, the same species that Rundus is a part of from Prime 3. However, we get a couple of shots of the planet, both in a hologram, but also in what I assume would be the game's intro cutscene, as we can see the full planet has some sort of dust rings, and it's not a moon as we don't see Beth 3 that Phrygia revolves around anywhere in the trailer. Inside the planet itself, we see that, like many Metroid worlds, there's a lot of life below ground, but the planet seems to be extremely cold, as whenever we see some sort of natural environment, we see that the planet is made up of a series of ice caves, but also with the remnant of some sort of laboratory setting. Unlike the space part based on Zebes, that's overrun with animal life, it seems that on this mysterious planet, the natural species has been unable to gain a foothold in the man-made sections, and it could be because of the Emmy. Now, what the Federation was doing on this planet isn't clear. You know that the Emmy are some sort of prototype experimental weapon system, and a powerful one at that. And honestly, this lines up nicely with the events of Other M, Samus and Joey the manga, and Fusion, as the Federation has seemed to be hell-bent on creating weapons that even Samus can't handle. With the Metroid projects and, the hiring of Dominion and Samus and Joey, that's been a big plot point there. So it's very telling that the Emmy are in existence and they can't be beaten by Samus traditionally. But the last few details worth mentioning is the appearance of the half-mechanical, half-organic computer, or central AI, that Samus finds on the planet. It sounds a lot like it could be the same Aurora units from the Prime game, so that's a nice detail. We also see the return of everyone's least favorite character, Adam Malkovich, or at least his AI. In the Metroid Dread showcase, we see that he's not only with Samus, and he's still in existence, but he's providing much needed information to her for her mission. So he's acting kind of like he did in Metroid Fusion, which is very interesting. Now, this time around, I do hope that Sakamoto and all the writers will take steps to redeem Adam's character, because as of right now, he's currently one of, if not the most hated character in all of Metroid, thanks to Other M. But that is all the things I noticed, personally, when I looked at the reveal trailer for Metroid Dread. I'm very excited for this game, and I wasn't a fan of Metroid Samus Returns, but how can I not be excited for the long-awaited Metroid 5, and I hope you'll join me in this excitement. But that's all for today. If you want to see more Metroid content, please leave a like and a comment, and why not subscribe and ring the bell so you can stay up to date with my uploads. If any more news about Metroid Dread breaks, you can believe that I will be here to report it first, to update you all. With that, this is the Lore Raider, signing off.